who I am. I know I'm important. Like, I know my worth. I ain't gotta walk around thinking I'm bigger than nobody. The only person I'm trying to be bigger than is the person I was yesterday.
I think you just gotta know what you stand for and know what you represent, know what's true to you. Because you can't please everybody, you can't be everything to everybody, but you could be true and you could be yourself and comfortable in your skin and just represent what's real to you.
I'm very much in a space right now where I'm not doing anything that's going to compromise my peace and happiness. So I think just taking control, making sure you like maintain your power, don't give your power away to anybody. That I feel like is the key to like truth.
What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Creative. Go ahead, say it with me. We are back at it again to do what? To create something great. Now, today I'm super excited what I have planned for y'all today. We're going to be doing a deep dive into Theta Data. And Theta Data is one of the best option data providers for algo traders, right? If you ever wondered where I get my historical data for back testing or how do I access Greeks programmatically, this is going to be the stream for you. We're going to be setting up how to go over setting up an account, getting your API keys, understanding the endpoints, writing actual Python codes, and going over a few examples. I'll be coding everything live using Claude Code so you can follow along. Now, I'm not going to hold you. Sometimes I may make mistakes. We're going to debug together, but at the end, you're going to understand how to use Theta Data and how to work this for your own bots. Now, a quick disclaimer, I am not sponsored by Theta Data. This is merely game recognizing game, and I want to be able to share with y'all like where I get my data from when it comes to being able to run our algo bots. So if you do have any questions along the stream, please let me know. Again, my name is Creative. I've been coding since about April of this year. It is 2025. So about like 10 months, and I've been algo trading since about July. And I've been streaming my sessions for you all for the past couple of weeks, about 5-6 weeks now. So today we're going to be going over all this information. And if you do have any questions, please let me know. And don't forget to like and subscribe. So let's go ahead and jump on in. So this is Theta Data's site. And if you need it, I went ahead and put it in the description. Let me just go ahead and drop it in the comments as well, just in case we get anyone asking about it. So I just dropped it in the comments as well. So this is Theta Data. And what we're going to be doing is reviewing their API docs. Before we do that, so as you can see, Theta Data gets their data from NASDAQ, IEX, CBOE, and NYSE. So what I want to do is just jump over to ChatGPT and say, can you explain like 12 in a non-condescending nor demeaning fashion how NASDAQ, IEX, CBOE, and NYSE provides data to Theta Data as best as possible, and what each one of these entities do, like a professor talking to their student. All right, perfect. So big picture, think of a stock market like many giant stadiums where buying and selling happens. Each stadium has its own scoreboard. The scoreboard shows the price, the trades, and the bid and ask price. Theta Data is not the stadium. It's a company that collects scoreboards from many stadiums, cleans them up, and then resells them to people who want high quality market data like quants, traders, and algo builders, us, right? NASDAQ, this is the tech stock stadium. NASDAQ is a major stock exchange famous for its tech stocks like Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Meta, Google, YouTube, so on and so forth, right? What NASDAQ does, NASDAQ matches buyers and sellers. It has records. These records includes trades, quotes, and within those quotes, it's bid and ask. Let me just make this a bit more bigger. Apologize. Bid and ask. Then we have volume. Then we have order book activity. what NASDAQ data produces, every time someone buys or sell on NASDAQ, every time the price changes, every bid and ask update, how it fits into data. NASDAQ send its raw data via data feeds. Theta Data ingests it, it normalizes it, timestamps it to make sure it's precise. So we get clean NASDAQ market data without dealing with NASDAQ directly. So key idea is NASDAQ is where trading happens. Theta Data is where the data gets packaged for us. And then the next is going to be NYSE, or the New York Stock Exchange. This is one of the biggest exchanges, or the oldest exchanges in the world. What the NYSE does, same core job as NASDAQ. It matches buyers and sellers. It publishes trades and quotes. It handles many large traditional companies like Coca-Cola, JPM, Home Depot, Citigroup, so on and so forth. What makes NYSE slightly different? It has auction-based trading mechanics. So it still uses design market makers, how it fits in, and how Theta Data fits in. NYSE produces its own trade and quote data. Theta Data pulls it in, so we can analyze the NYSE data alongside NASDAQ data in the same format. So the key idea is that NYSE and NASDAQ are different stadiums. Theta Data allows us to see both scoreboards at once, right? And then CBOE is the option and volatility stadium. CBOE is the Chicago Board of Option Exchange. This is the biggest options exchange in the US. So what CBOE does for any trades for stock options, index options like SPX or VIX, and then it publishes the option prices, the Greeks, the implied volatility, and the open interest. Why CBOE is special? It's created VIX, which is the volatility index. It dominates option liquidity. So how Theta Data fits in? Theta Data is especially strong here. It collects historical option data from CBOE. So this is where we're going to get interested, right? Because we're going to be using Theta Data for all of our algos, all of our back testing, right? We use Theta Data to be able to pull the option data from. So what CBOE does, how Theta Data fits in. Theta Data collects the historical option data, the tick level option data, so sub-second data, and then Greeks over time. If stocks are the car, options are the engine intervals, right? CBOE produces the deep engine data. And then IEX is the fair play stadium. IEX is the investors exchange. It is designed to reduce unfair advantages. What makes IEX unique? It uses tiny delays, speed bumps, and prevents high frequency trading from exploiting slower traders. So what is the difference between high frequency traders and slower traders, right? See, these are people that use bots or algorithms to trade. These are individuals that hand trade, right? So what IEX does, IEX executes trades like other exchanges. It publishes the trades and the quotes. It focuses on fairness, not speed. How Theta Data fits in. Theta Data, it includes alongside others. It's useful for clean price discovery, studying, market fairness, and comparing slow and fast venue. So key idea, IEX isn't about being the fastest, it's about being the most honest. So Theta Data is the market data librarian, right? So Theta Data is not an exchange itself. Theta Data does not match buyers and sellers. It does not create prices. Theta Data collects raw data from NASDAQ, right? NYSE, CBOE, and IEX. It cleans them up. It normalizes the formats. It stores massive historical databases, and then it serves them via API, right? Why people use them. Exchanges are expensive, hard to integrate, and fragmented. Data gives us one interface, consistent timestamps, and historic or real-time prices. So how to do it? Traders buy and sell. Exchanges executes the trades. Exchanges publishes the raw data. Theta Data ingests the data. We cleans it up, and then we query for it on analysis for backtests or algos. All right. Can you explain API quickly so we understand how it works? All right, API is a messenger. It lets programmers talk to another for information, right? So we get a response back and forth in a structured way. So no humans clicking buttons, is just computer and computer communication. So think of it like a restaurant. We are the app or the script. The kitchen is Theta Data or any service, but we're going to be using Theta Data. API is the server. API is the waiter, excuse me. The menu is the API documentation, which we're going to be going over. The order is our request, and the food is the data we get back. So we don't go into the kitchen. You tell the waiter exactly what we want and how we want it, right? So how API exactly works. Your program sends a request to give me spy option data for today. The API receives it. The service finds the data. The API sends it back in a response, usually a JSON, a structured text, and then your program reads it and uses it. That's it, right? So I'm not even going to get any more into the weeds. That's how an API works. So now let's go ahead and jump into our API receipt. All right, beautiful. Let's go ahead and jump into our docs. So again, I'm at thetadata.net. I'm going to click on docs, and I'm going to be using Python, right? So let me make sure I'm zoomed in here, and it's Gucci dim. All right, so I'm going to be using Python and then C curls in order to talk to the endpoint, right? So now what we're going to do is get started. So I already have everything needed in order to, so of course, in order to sign up for Theta Data, again, I am not sponsored by them. So if you want to sign up, I would recommend being able to sign up. Anything between the value or the standard will get you what you need, right? Again, this is what the value provides: 100% market coverage, US index and stocks, real-time access, unlimited request, and that's what I love about Theta Data. 3 request types, 4 years of data, and then low latency for snapshots, and then API support, and 1-minute intervals, and then standard. You're going to get everything but 70 types of request, 8 years of data, so double it. Tick level request, option chain, and then 15K of trade streams, and then 10K of quote streams. Now, I'm not going to hold you. This is a lot. You don't need the pro. It says best for live trading, but I'm not going to hold you. Anything from value to standard will get the job done. All right. So Theta Data uses, I'm not going to read that. You can read that for yourself. Why Theta Data Terminal? Why do you need it? So installing for Windows or Mac. All right, bet. So now what we're going to do is just follow these steps, right? So I'm using Cursor. Cursor is a code editor that allows us to be able to create these different types of codes. So let's go ahead and jump into Cursor. Cursor is built on top of Visual Studios. So if you're used to using Visual Studios, Cursor is built on top of it. I just like it a little bit better because of the UX and UI is a lot more user friendly. And with inside Cursor, I'm going to be using Claude Code. That's going to make a little bit more sense once we get inside of it. So I'm going to click on open a project, and then within option baby, I'm going to click Theta Data walkthrough, and then I'm going to create the folder. Then I'm going to open the folder. Now I'm not using Cursor's AI. I'm going to be using Claude Code. Now I'm going to create a file, and this is how I run it. Oh wait, I was about to say, run Claude Code, and then we're going to close this. We can delete this file. I'm going to be using the Opus tomato at this point 4.5 model in order to get this done. So I just wanted to grab it real quick. Beautiful, clear. Opus 4.5. Beautiful. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between the API docs. And so you all can have the API docs. Let me go ahead and drop it in the chat. So you have the API docs that are there. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between the API docs and Cursor in order to get our work done. All right. So again, any questions, let me know. You can stop me, say, hey, I'm moving too fast, or I need you to slow down a bit. I can do that. Just let me know. All right, beautiful. Let's go back to Cursor. All right. What I want to do is just set the context. Is what do you know about Theta Data? Fiddle faddling. That is hilarious. These adjectives, I tell you. So Theta Data is a financial market data provider specializing in option and stock market data. Here's a few things that I know: option focus, stock data, Python API, data format, so on and so forth. All right, beautiful. So we have just signed up for Theta Data. Hip hip. We want to walk through being able to add to our code or to add to our project. Here is the get started page. And legit, what I'm going to do, again, so you can see, I'm going to come here. I wish some API docs you can just legit hit copy on page and you can copy the whole thing, but here we can't. So what I'm going to do is just hit copy. Just copy all of this. Well, so there is no confusion. Boom. And I'm also going to go to MCP server. You see Claude. How to install. We already have it. Examples. You can use natural language. Okay, hold on. I'm not using. Okay. Here it is for Claude CLI. All right. Claude. I just want to give it as much information as possible so it is not tripping. All right. Let's go back to our code editor. Here is what we have to get started. Now, let's walk through this slowly and ensure we understand what is going on. Hold on. So make sure not to. I just want to make sure it doesn't share it because sometimes it will. Remember, you don't share API keys or any account information with anybody. Do not need any. All right, beautiful. So just get that through. And this is getting started, right? So we need to be able to install Theta Data into our system. So now what it's doing is going through and checking if there's Java already installed. Okay, looks like we already do have Java. All right, Java, you need to upgrade. Theta Data requires 21 or higher. You have 17. You have an empty directory. Okay, first. All right. Now we're also going to be using a Conda environment. A Conda environment is like having a garage with all of the packages that you need for any project, right? We have a Conda environment for our options. So anything that we need regarding options is within this Conda environment. All right. We are going to be using a Conda environment. Let's check if we have Java 21 plus in there. If not, let's update it and then check it is accessible before we proceed. So what it's doing right now, it's checking the Conda environment and seeing, okay, what Java is in there. Looks like we have 17. All right, we need to install 21 in the Conda environment. It's not going to take 5 minutes. It's just giving itself 5 minutes to be able to do all this. It should be under a minute. I'm not going to hold you, fam. To do this. All right. All right, perfect. Now that's working. Okay, maybe it's going to it's at 24 seconds right now. And what it's doing, it's installing Java 21 in order for us to work with Theta Data. So just give us a bit, yeah. All right, solving, downloading, extracting. So we can see it's doing great things. All right, let's verify it's working. It still says 17. Let me check. The system is taking priority. Let me check where Conda is installed. Conda environment isn't linked. Let me find out where it's actually installed. Name Java, found it. Let me verify if it's installed in there properly. Gucci them. Just give us a second. Is it still okay? 21. I'm seeing 21. Bet. All right. So Java 21 has been installed in our Conda environment, and you can use it easily, right? Now, for now, just remember to use the full path when running Theta Data. It's installed. Here's the full path. Now, next steps, we're going to download the data, and then I'm going to do this privately, right? Being able to add your credentials into the TXT file, right? So when you do this, you don't share it with anybody. You don't share your credentials, bruh. You don't share credentials. Can I say this again? You don't share credentials. All right. Proceed to download the Theta terminal .jar. All right, beautiful. Copy. Now it's going to download. It had an error. Get right. There you go. Download. Here we go. And there is Theta Data Jar. Beautiful. We've downloaded it, fam. We're Gucci. Cloud wants to fetch it. Go ahead and fetch it and make sure. HTML file, not the jar. It was redirected to a page. Let me fetch the actual download link. It is having, hold on. Getting started. What are we having problems with, fam? Give me 1 second. I think it's trying too hard. So I just want to say unable to access. Oh, you deleted it, you fucker. All right, you are just having problems after problems, fam. So this is good. So what I want to do, let's go ahead and go back to our API docs. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes this artificial intelligence, bruh, installing Theta Data terminal is auto updating jar files, so you don't need to install anything other than the Java 21 or greater. After downloading the jar file and place it in a directory, we recommend Theta Data terminal. Just run the jar file with the following command. That's it. This ensures you can download the jar file here. All right. I've downloaded the jar file. And then I'm going to bring you in there. So jar file has been downloaded. I have brought it into the environment. And then let's go ahead and run this command. Okay. What is this? Oh, Conda environment. I forgot. How do you know you're not in the Conda environment, right? You see right here it says base. What we need to do is paste our Conda environment. And then now it's going to say option, baby. Beautiful. Now let's run it. Okay. Error linkage occurred while loading the main class Theta Data main. Java unsupported class Theta Data has been compiled with more than one recent version. Okay, so this is an issue that I'm gonna need JIT to take care of. It is downloaded. Let's fix this issue here. Well, oh, before, okay. Wait. All right, just hold on. I need to bring y'all over here. I need to create my creds.txt. And remember, you don't share with anybody. So give me a second. I just need to create it real quick. Make sure it's Gucci them. All right. The file's there. Now, all right. Beautiful. All right, the file's there. Here it is. Still having issues. Let's find out why. It's still using Java 17. Okay, here's the full path to run it. Okay. Let's run it. Give us a second. And we're Gucci. Theta Data bootstrap. That's how we in it, man. We're knocking on the door. Somebody answered. Oh shit. I was big man. Big man things. Oh man. I was feeling myself, bruv. Review and let's fix this issue here. I was feeling myself too much, bruv. Interesting. The bootstrap downloaded another jar. Would that also need Java? Let me verify. Was downloaded. This is a bootstrap that might be spawning the sub process with the system Java. Let me try setting it to run from Java from home. Big man things, yeah. All right, Gucci. Let's make sure. Give me a second. Again, I just got to make sure I don't share anything that you don't need to see. Big man things, yeah. We're having some errors, y'all. We're having some errors. It's working. It's working. Java 21 is finally fixed. The errors you're seeing are because the port 2501 are already in use, probably from the earlier attempts. Let me kill those and start it over. All right, beautiful. Hold on, because it's about to log in. Remember, we don't share. Good news. Beautiful. The port conflicts because my test started early, working second instance. All right, let's test it. Theta Data is already running. Now let me check with the correct endpoint. Don't worry, we're going to go over all of this. I just want to make sure we're Gucci. We have Theta Data and it's running and it's installed now. We have upgraded to v3. So that tells me it's running, right? So what it's doing right now is checking. We've updated the v3 for query. It's using old parameters, but we're about to go through our API reference. So it's big man things is tripping right now. All right, I'm just gonna stop it because it's running endpoint tests. Let's go back to our Theta Data API docs. Now that we have Theta Data and it's downloaded and it's ready to go, yeah, we're going to go to REST API. Let me just click up here. We're primarily going to be using Theta Data for what? Not stocks, for options, fam. So I'm going to, again, click on options, and then I'm going to start with list, and then I'm going to go to symbols. So we're going to go through all of these, right? So we can make sure we understand this, yeah? All right. Options, list, symbols. Here's the endpoint. Beautiful. It's already on Python. I'm not using, again, you can use Python or JavaScript. I would recommend Python. All right, perfect. And here's what we're going to do. All right, so again, I'm just going to copy it. And then we're going to go back to our code. All right, big man. This is what we're going to do. We're going to be meticulous regarding this review so we can ensure we understand how to use Theta Data endpoints without issues. Here is what we're starting with. First, run a few C curls. And what is a C curl? A C curl is a terminal command. And what is a terminal command? So what I just ran here is an example of a terminal command that allows us to communicate directly to Theta Data. So right now, the C curl that we're testing is the symbols C curl, right? A symbol can be defined as a unique identifier for a stock or / underlying asset. The common terms also include a root, a ticker, and an underlying. This endpoint returns all trade symbols for options. This endpoint is updated overnight. All right. So this is what we're going to be starting with to understand its request parameters, output format, etc. Then once you do, proceed to create a comprehensive Python script using the example as a reference so we can run and test this endpoint. Now, let's make sure we have proper doc strings explaining each function and method. Also, make sure to explain in a way like a professor talking to their student who happens to be 12. Well, no down talking. Over explain. Assume nothing. Let's proceed. Perfect. Again, if y'all do have any questions about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, let me know. We are starting with testing. Okay. Invalid session ID. Go ahead and restart Theta Data. We're testing the symbols endpoint and what it did right now. Okay, the process get now. Let's restart it. Get a new fresh one. You lazy fuck. All right, hold on. When I say it's lazy, give me a second, fam. Let me just make sure it's not sharing credentials. All right, it's logging in. Hold on. It's like it put the credentials right on the screen, so I'm glad I kind of switched away because again, you don't share credentials with NTBT, right? So give us a second. Starting Theta Data. Once you see FPSS connected in the output, let me know and we'll test. Review and advise. Good, yeah. Give me a second. Yep, still did it. All right, it's running. All right, we can come back here. Beautiful. It's working. Beautiful. We're getting information. The endpoint is working. We're getting the info. Now I understand the endpoint. Let me create a comprehensive Python script Let me go ahead and let you auto edit that. You are photosynthesizing. I don't know how that makes sense. Doesn't you're getting, how are you touching the sun when you're a computer? Explain that, Claude. That's interesting. Photosynthesizing. Shit's hilarious. Photosynthesizing. That's just, again, funny. All right, so just give us a second. All right, beautiful. Let's go ahead and test it. And then I'm going to run it to make sure we're Gucci. All right, so what it's doing, it's running the get option. So I'm going to do is just copy this path. Beautiful. Theta Data is running right here. Beautiful. All right, so the demo is working. Wait, you were set in like 20 minutes, don't you? All right, now we're fine. Even though it says that, we're fine. Don't worry. I'm peeking an eye. It resets every Monday. And guess what today is? Monday. So let's go ahead and run our script. And now let's look. All right, so test 1 is counting the total symbols. Total option symbols available is 15,070. Test 2 is getting the first 10 symbols for CSV streaming. So this is the symbols that we grab. Test 3 is getting the symbols via JSON. So here's the symbols that we grab. All right, test 4, searching for Apple. Here's Apple. Test 5, searching for SPY. SPY is the S&P 500, top 500 companies within the New York Stock Exchange. Here are the 14 symbols with SPY. All right, beautiful. All right, let's update the script so we can find out how this works, how comprehensive of data we get back from this endpoint. And let's use, what are y'all thinking? Use NVIDIA, JPM, Home Depot, SPY, QQQ, TLT, and who else? And then Russell 1000. Proceed to update. And if you can have a small blurb on each, would be great. All right, perfect. We're getting somewhere, fam. Again, don't worry about that weekly limit. I reset in like 3 hours. I'll be done well before that 3-hour limit. So we're Gucci them. And this is not going to be like super comprehensive. This is like read this endpoint, create this file, right? And this is how I go through any new document or any new provider that I'm thinking about going through. I go find their API documents and then I'll read it a bit. And then this is what I'll do. I'll go through each endpoint, go run C curls, create a Python file so I can use it as a reference for moving forward, right? And I've already done this, but I wanted to retrace my steps and do it again because it's always great to be able to do a refresher. And I've been getting questions lately about where do I get my data from? How do I get my data for backtesting? How do I get my data for live data, right? So this is one of the providers that I use, and I use them heavily. Theta Data is great for historic data, right? For ops. No, I'm going to run it. I'm going to run it. Thank you, but I'm going to run it. All right, clear. Let's run it. Beautiful. All right, let me go back up. All right, endpoint overview method is to fetch data. We're not sending data or changing anything. It returns all stock, and ETF symbols that have tradable options. What we get back is a list of ticker symbols, Apple, Nvidia, SPY. Each symbol represents a stock or ETF with options available, updated overnight, so new IPOs might take a day to appear. Here's the format. So how much data do we get? The total optionable symbols are 15,000. This means that there are 15,000 different stocks and ETFs that have option contracts available for trading. That's a shitload of data. So we're doing availability checks on NVIDIA. Let's just go through them. Here's NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a dominant player in the graphics processing unit, or GPUs. Originally known for video gaming graphics cards, NVIDIA became a powerhouse in AI / machine learning because of GPUs are perfect for parallel computations AI require. Their chips power most of the AI data centers around the world, and stock has exploded since the AI boom. So why traders watch it? High volatility, AI narrative, and momentum plays. So here's NVIDIA. JPM is Chase. So I'm not going to go through all of them. This is what we know. Home Depot. I just want to make sure we get. Here's SPY. SPY is the most traded ETF in the world. SPY tracks the S&P 500, which contains the 500 largest U.S. companies. When people say the market is up and down, they usually mean the S&P 500. Buying SPY is buying a tiny piece of the 500 companies at once. The type is an ETF or exchange traded fund. This is the benchmark for U.S. companies. It's extremely liquid. What does liquidity mean? Is that you can buy and sell in and out of SPY without worrying about that the option is going to expire worthless. And options are used for hedging and speculation. Here's related symbols in the database. All right, beautiful. QQQ tracks the 100 largest non-financial companies in the NASDAQ. This is tech heavy, so this is Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta, Nvidia, Tesla, more volatile than SPY because it's concentrated in growth and tech stocks. All right, TLT is the iShares, it's the 20-year treasury, right? So this tracks the long-term U.S. government bonds, 20 plus years for maturity. When interest rates go up, TLT go down, and vice versa. So considered a safe because U.S. government bonds are backed by a full faith by the U.S. government, used for hedging stock risks. Russell 2000 tracks the 2,000 small cap companies. These are smaller, often younger companies, more volatile than large cap. When the economy is strong, small cap companies outperform because they're much more sensitive to economic growth. And then the Russell 1000, instead of the 2000, you have the 1000. And then here's the example of the data sets that we're going to get. All right, beautiful. All right, I love it. So I already ran it. No need to run it again. So let's go ahead and go to our second endpoint. And our second endpoint is going to be dates. Whoa. All right, so now we're going to dates. So this lists dates of data that are available for options with the given symbol, request type, and expiration. This endpoint is updated every night. All right, so what I want to do is copy this. And we're going to query type. Beautiful. Here's a sample code. We're going to copy you. Let's go back to Claude Code. Let's do the same thing here. So as you can see, I wouldn't say meticulous. It is meticulous. Couldn't be a bit monotonous, right? But I would rather making sure that we overboard, right? And we make sure what we're getting and why we're getting it and how it works. So when we're using the provider, like I understand it without any quorums or worries, right? So let's work it properly, yeah? Proper. All right, test. Beautiful. So what it's going to do, so we can understand it, it's going to run C curls first. So after it runs the C curls, then it's going to run, or then it's going to create a comprehensive script that we're going to run and see the data or the output of the information. Yeah? Good beans. So we're just waiting on the output here. While we're waiting on that, I don't want to let me come back to you. Just make sure we gave it everything. This lists all the dates for option data given a okay. Without any expiration. Just making sure. 200 response. All right, beautiful. All right, we should be getting this script soon. And as soon as we get the script, I'm going to run it and we're going to see. And we have a few more endpoints to be able to go through. Again, if you do have any questions in the process, please let me know. But for right now, okay, here we go. I can stop talking. Perfect. I thank you for that. Oh, you know what I haven't done? Let's just go look at this file because that's what we haven't done. So let's look at the file. So Theta Data option dates endpoint tutorial. So this script asks Theta Data for specific option contracts. What dates do you have for historical? What dates do you, excuse me, what specific option contract? What dates do you have for historic data? I feel like I'm still saying that's wrong. The script asks Theta Data for specific option contracts. What dates do you have historically for historic data for? I'm sorry. Think of this like asking the librarian, I want to read all about Apple options that expire in March 2025. What days the newspaper do you have in your archives? Why this is useful. Before pulling historical data for option prices or trades, you need to know which dates we have available. This endpoint tells you the earliest date it exists, the most recent data available, and every trade in between. This prevents us from requesting data for dates that don't exist. So the difference between the quotes and the dates, the quotes are the prices that market makers were offering, the bid and ask prices. So think, what prices could I have bought or sold for? The trades are the actual transactions that happened, the orders that filled. So think, what price did someone actually pay? Why both? Sometimes options don't trade at all on a given day, low volume, but there are still option quotes available. These quotes data is the most complete. So how option contracts work? An option contract has 4 key identifiers: the symbol, the underlying stock, the expiration, when the option contract expires, the strike price. This is the price the option gives you the right to buy or sell for, and the right, which is the call, which is the right to buy, or a put, which is the right to sell. Here's an example of how it looks. So this is the right to buy Apple at 150 until March 2021, March 21st, 2025. All right, perfect. Now I'm going to run it. Now it's actually getting the data. All right, let's run up. So we talked about the endpoint and what it does. Beautiful. Now it's actually getting the SPY data. So the first date available is 2022, back of December. So beautiful. We can go back approximately 2.3 years. So what this means for SPY options expiring on March 3rd, 21. March. Why can I fucking talk today? My fault. March 21st of 2025. We can request historic data for any of these 577 dates. Here's a sample, the first 5. Here's the last 5. The quotes versus the trades. So the quotes was 577. The trades was 577. Days with only quotes were 0. What's the difference? The quote data is the market makers posting the prices, the bid and ask prices, and the trade data is what somebody actually bought it for. Now, again, SPY is the most liquid option in the world. These numbers are very close. For less liquid stocks, you'll see a bigger difference. Liquidity means we can buy and sell quickly without having to worry that our option is going to expire worthless. So here's testing all symbols to be able to see the data that we're getting for March 2025. All right, our major symbols have extensive historic data. Date goes back 2+ years. All data available excluding weekends and holidays. Beautiful. Here's how we filter by the strike and the right. Remember, the strike price is the price that we think the option contract is going to go to, and the right is the right to buy or sell. The right to buy is a call, and a call is we're bullish on the market. We think the market is going to go up. A right to sell is a put, and put is we're bearish on the market. We think the market is going to go down. All right, beautiful. Here's our sample request. And summary what this endpoint tells us. I kind of already went through that, so I'm not going to go through it again. Beautiful. Now we're going to go to our second endpoint, and this endpoint is going to be expiration. And this expiration, this lists all the dates of expiration that are available for an option within a given symbol. So what I'm going to do is just copy it like we've been doing, and then get the sample code. Hold on. I'm not going to hold you. Hold on. I just want to make sure. Review log, terminal log from Theta Data, and make sure good. We already ran the script. All right, let me copy. Go back to our coding session. Oh, the terminal looks good. Let me explain what you're seeing. Connected is running. Warning. Okay. All right, let's go to the next endpoint. Expirations. All right. Again, any questions, let me know. This is a step-by-step process that we're going to be doing. My aim is to be able to test all these endpoints, right? So we can understand what's going on, fam. My fault. Let's come back here. I might as well just keep hitting enter because these are different. Excellent data. Now I understand the endpoint. Let me create the script. Beautiful. So let's go back here. I just want to just take a peek. Okay, I already have. Oh, I always use request, but this one is using HTTPX. It is using HTTPX. I always use request, so that's interesting. So that's fine. Why generator? Okay, beautiful. Again, I always use request. There's no problem with HTTPX, so there's no problem with that. CSV and then IO. Here's the set parameters. This is the streaming version, and we'll read it line by line. All right, Gucci them. So let's come back here. I'm just waiting for Claude Code to output and then give us the script that we're going to need. And then next is going to be strikes. So we're being very meticulous about this, right? We're going through each endpoint and making sure we understand what is being provided, what can we use it for, type shit, and how it works for us, fam. Not the we allo. All right, I thank you for this. I'm going to run it though. And then I'm going to come here. I want to hit clear. I'm going to run it. All right, beautiful. This endpoint returns all the expiration data available for an option for, I don't know why. Reading is just not a thing for me. I do know how to read, fucker, but it's just, I don't know. I'm just tripping over my own words today. Returns all expiration dates available for a symbols option. Here's the query parameter. Here's the optional parameters for query. What we get is the ticker separated for each row in the CSV. Here's the date, historical expiration date, already expired for backtesting, current and future expiration, still tradable, leaps 1 to 3 years out. Here's SPY, and the reason I love it, most liquid option in the world, not just the planet, but the world. Total expirations in the database. It goes back to 2012, fam. And we can get it to 2028. 1900 had already expired. 32 that are still tradable and upcoming. Here's the next 5. Why so many? SPY has daily and weekly options. I normally trade daily options. 0 DTE options, option contracts that expire the same day. Weeklies are option contracts that expire on Fridays. Monthlies are option contracts that expire on the 4th Friday. And then quarterlies is option contracts that expire on the last Friday of the quarter. Right? This gives traders extreme fine grain time exposure. Here's the expiration frequency analysis. Total expirations, month covered, average per month, has weekly true, sample, All right, interpretation. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Comparing. Since 22. I love it, man. All this data that we're getting from Theta Data. That's why I love using them. Observation. SPY has the most expirations daily plus weekly options. QQQ and IWM are also very active weekly options. NVIDIA has grown to include weeklies due to high demand, and less liquid are at Home Depot and IWB. Have fewer expirations, quarterly expirations, institutional favorites, right? Because they like to just money let sit. SPX is like SPY Big Brother. Again, a little bit money to be able to invest in that. NDX a little bit more. Settle quarterly expirations. I love it. And then sample request provides. I love it. All right, now let's go to the next endpoint. We're going to go to strikes. Do you think I should do? I'm going to do strikes and contracts to. Oh, should I? Yeah, I'm going to do strikes and contracts together. All right, so I'm going to do strikes. Come back here. And then we're going to do contracts together. All right, so let's read it. Strikes. This lists all the strikes that are available for an option with a given symbol and then expiration date. This endpoint is updated every night. You know, let me just keep it separate. Yeah, let me just keep it separate. I'm not going to hold you. All right. Let me put them together. Never mind. This lists all the, and you'll understand why. Just follow me, but don't follow me, but follow me. If you know, you know type shit. All right, this lists all the option contracts that were traded or quoted on a particular date. If the symbol parameter is specified, these return option contracts that will be filtered to match the symbol. Multiple symbols can be specified by separating them with commas, such as symbol equals Apple, SPY, AMD. This is updated in real time, so the market is open. So that'll be super dope. And the reason I'm putting strikes and contracts the same is because the contract is going to be the thing. The strike is the what, right? So we can go ahead and put them together. So here is for strike and contract. Let's proceed. Same thing. All right, beautiful. So that is our first 4, and we have a few more to be able to get to, homie. Yeah, a bit more to be able to get to. As you see, we're getting all the data. We're going through all the data. Okay, got good data from both endpoints. Now let me create a no. Do not create a combined one. Create one for each. I still want to keep it separate, even though I gave it to you together. I still want to keep it separate. All right, beautiful. So I'm going to let this output. I'm going to grab some Algo and be right back. Don't worry about this. We'll have enough to be able to complete what we're doing. Even if it rolls over, it's going to keep the same context, and we know what we're doing, right? And don't worry about this weekly approach, right? We still have more than enough to be able to do what we're doing here. All right, so give me a second while this outputs. I'm going to go grab some tequila agua so I can quench my little thirst here, and then we're going to continue our work. That's crazy. It beat me. All right, let's run it. Hold on. Give me the full path for both so we can run it. All right, bet. Here we go. All right, I want to run the strikes first. Shit. Exit. Like big tripping right now. Hold on. Beautiful. All right, so the strikes returns all available strike prices for a symbol plus expiration, the request parameters, optional query, JSON, okay. What we get back is the symbol, the ticker repeated for each row, and then the price or the strike price in dollars, 500, 505 as an example. The strike price is the price you pay. Excuse me. The strike price equals the price you can buy or sell at if you exercise. More strikes equals more liquid the options, and then the strike intervals vary by the strike price and then liquidity. SPY strike price is the most liquid, one that expires on March 21st, 2025. Here's the stats. The lowest strike is 180. The highest strike is 820. So the lowest that you can bet SPY goes to is 180. The highest that you can bet is 820. The strike range is 640. Right? The most common interval is going to be the $1. So we can go from 180 to 181, 182, so on and so forth. At the money, strike just below 607, strike just above 607, spread. Strike is the SPY is the most liquid ETF in the world, not just the city cred, but the world. Market makers provide strike at $1 intervals near the current price and at $5 intervals further away. This lets traders position very precisely. Here are strikes near the current price. Beautiful. The 607 below, above, and nearest. Comparing across all symbols. I love it. So here's the intervals that we can go from, the min, the max, and then the strikes that are available. Observation, SPY has the most strikes, the highest liquidity. NVIDIA has the widest because of the high volatility. TLT has the fewer strikes because of low volatility. And then strikes intervals are usually between $1 through $5 for liquid stock names, excuse me. And then here's the strike density. High density equals more precise hedging or speculation. We can build tighter spreads. And here's the API request. And here's what it provides us. Beautiful. So that's for the strikes. Now let's go run it for the contracts. Looks like what it provided me the first time actually worked. All right. So what the contracts provide us. Return all option contracts that are active, traded, or quoted. Remember, traded are ones that actually fills. Quoted are just the bid and ask price. On a date, here's the request parameters. Here's the required query. Here's the optional queries. And what we get back is the symbol, the expiration date, the strike price in dollars, and the right. Either it's going to be a right to buy, which is a call, and a call is we're bullish, or right to sell, which is a put, or we're bearish. Warning, symbol filters. These return all contracts in the markets. These rows can be millions of rows. Always filter by a symbol. So here's SPY contracts on 12/13/2024. Total contracts traded was 4,000 contracts traded on SPY. This time, not this time last year. Today's the 15th. This time last Friday, or Saturday, it was, and that would be the Friday because it's the year before 2024. There was 4,300 contracts traded. Of them, there was 2,100 that were calls, 2,200 that were puts. Here's the put call ratio. Unique strikes with 36, unique expirations, with 36, unique strikes with 316. And here's the range. Here's the top 5 contracts. So put call ratio greater than 1 suggests bullish sentiment. They thought the market was going to go up. Many near the expiration, active short-term trading. Wide strikes show a diverse trading strategies. So step 2 is the contract symbol. Okay, beautiful. This is all this great information we're getting from Theta Data, and I can appreciate it for what we're going to be doing next. Here's how to read a contract. The first one is going to be the symbol. The second one is going to be the expiration date. The third, this is the strike price. And then here is the right, which is a call, comparing them. So as you can see here, the most liquid, then QQQ is right after. And then we have NVIDIA, JPM, TLT, and IWM. I love it. We're getting a lot of great data from this. All right, beautiful. Now let's go ahead and go to our next endpoint. And this is going to be, so we just finished up list. List, we went through symbols, dates, expiration, strikes, and contracts. Now we're going to go to snapshot, and then we're going to start at open, high, low, close. This is the fun part, right? Now we're actually going to be seeing the data work. So I want to copy. All right. And then we're going to go back to Claude Code. Here is the next endpoint. Let's do the same thing we've been doing. And what it's going to do is going to run C curls. Oh, my fault. You couldn't even see it. What is a C curl? A C curl is a programmatic way in order to visit the endpoint request. See, we're going to test the open, high, low, close, OLA, open, high, low, close snapshot for the specific for SPY contracts. All right. No data found for your request. No data found for your request. It's a Sunday. The market was closed. No shit. Let's try it again. All right, here we go. We went the next day and we're finding data. All right, we got the data. Now it's going to create the script. And if you do have any questions along the process, please let me know. Our aim, again, is to be able to build together, to work together, right? And to be able to build out our algos. This is the data that I use in order to backtest our algorithms that we create for option trading, right? So I know I've been getting a lot of requests on where I'm getting my data from. I use Theta Data because they're one of the most comprehensive ones. It is very affordable, right, for what we're going to be doing and how I use them. And I squeeze that lemon, try to get the most out of that, most juice out of it. That's what I do in order to make this work. So again, if you do have any questions, please let me know. We are working on the open, high, low, close endpoint, and we're going to get ready to test it. So I'm just waiting for the output here. While I'm waiting, let's go take a peek at the market. Let's go look at what the market is doing. Here's SPY. SPY again, S&P 500, top 500 companies within the New York Stock Exchange. And what you're seeing here is the Bollinger Band, right? So what is a Bollinger Band? A Bollinger Band is an indicator that I like to use in order to figure out if an asset is overbought or oversold, right? If it's, okay, I can stop talking because we just got our script. So now let's go test it. Beautiful. Clear, and then Python. All right, perfect. We have our data. So we're getting real-time current open, high, low, close prices. What did the price open at? What was the high? What was the low? And what did it close at for that particular candle? For option prices, required parameter is the stock or ETF symbol, SPY, S&P 500, Apple, or NVIDIA. So the optional query parameters is the expiration, the strike, the right, and the format. Here's what we get back. We get the timestamp, when the trade actually occurred, the symbol. We get the open, the highest, the low, the close, the volume, and the number of individual traders. So open, high, low, close basics. If the close is greater than the open, the price went up. This is a bullish candle. If the close is less than the open, the price went down. This is a bearish candle. Bullish, we think the market is going to go up. Bearish, we think the market is going to go down. Here's the SPY snapshot, fetching the SPY open, high, low, close data. Total contracts, super liquid, right? So that's why you're going to see that high number there. Total volume, unique expiration. Okay, I love it. Here's the total volume, top volume contracts for SPY. And this is based off today's date, right? So the top contract currently is a put. And I kind of agree with this, that the market is kind of bearish right now. A put contract for $60. And the volume is about 439 people that are currently actively trading it. And here are the trades that are actually filled. Almost 60,000 people, right? High volume, a lots of trader interest, often near or at the money strikes, can indicate the price expected target. They're thinking is 680. SPY right now, and that's kind of crazy, right? I'm looking at SPY. This is on the 1 minute data. SPY right now is at 680.92. So everybody who's thinking that it is they're bearish, I don't know. The market is on a little upward turn. So I may agree with this, 680. I may agree with this 682. That may be a move, but I don't know. So let's see. The biggest daily movers. Oh, 685. That's what's up. 312%. 312%. So if you would have got, that's crazy. It opened at 109, closed at 450. Opened at 60, closed at 250. I want to create a strategy that can, okay, that's going to be my next strategy, is being able to take advantage of these movers, right? Top 10 losers. Anybody who bet call. This is crazy. Look, this is how you can tell the market is extremely bearish, right? Everybody who bet puts made money. Everybody who bet call practically lost money. That's crazy. I want to use this for a strategy. Yeah, I'm definitely going to use this for a strategy that we're going to create. The activity by expiration, because it's today, we're going to see a lot. What's the next highest? Oh, the 30 for New Year's Eve. 423 contracts. That's crazy. Yeah, people are on and popping with this. Okay, so we're getting a lot of great things with the snap point for symbol. So let's go back to Theta Data for open, high, low, close. We just finished that one up. Now we're going to go to trades. All right, we're going to copy. Same thing we've been doing, right? I want to be extremely meticulous about this so I can understand what we get from each one of these endpoints. So when we actually need to reference it or create a strategy or test a strategy, right? Like I said, okay, let's go get open, high, low, close, trades, quotes, right? Whatever it may be. All right, so let's copy. Let's go back to Claude Code, which should be done compacting. Beautiful. All right, here is the next endpoint. Now let's do what we've been doing. Oh, I didn't hit enter. I thought I hit enter, but I didn't. My fault. This is taking a little bit longer than I anticipated, but that's okay, right? Because we're getting great data. It's not like I'm just talking fluff, right? So we're getting great data. Hold on, my fault. Did I trip? No, I didn't. Not live. All right, we're testing. And right now we're at the trades endpoint. That we are testing in order to get to see what all can we get and how comprehensive is it. Then we're actually going to build out a quick little strategy in a back test based off the data. So we're actually going to pull data. I'm going to let you see how it looks and then create a simple back test for a strategy, right? This is going to be super simple, nothing hard at all, just to see how well the data works and how we're able to back test or validate our strategies. Get it? Got it? Great. If you do have any questions, please let me know. If I'm going too fast, please let me know. If you want me to go back to another endpoint that you fancy or you do have questions of, please let me know. Or how does this compare with how you're using or how you're getting your data, right? Have you been using Theta Data, or do you use Massive? That used to be called Polygon. You can also use CBOE, right? But again, that's a little bit more pricey. There's a lot more places where you can get data from. But again, the reason I landed on Theta Data is because it's comprehensive. We can get tick by tick level data. It's extremely affordable. We can use it across our algos, right? And you can see how comprehensive it is for the amount of data that we're getting. So that's why I love using Theta Data. I'm not sponsored by them, so I don't want to let you see, oh, you're nope, not sponsored by them. I wish it was sponsored be. But I'm not sponsored by them. This is just game recognizing game, right? I'm always asked where I get my data from, and this is where. Oh, hold on. Big tripping. Hold on. This is trades. Get trades. Okay, beautiful. Let's come back here. There we go. All right, so understanding the trade snapshot endpoint. The trade snapshot endpoint gives you the last trade for each option contract. The key difference from the other endpoint, the open, high, low, close, is the day summary. So it gives, okay, open, high, low, close. The quote snapshot is the current bid and ask price. This is what people want to trade at. The trade snapshot is the most recent transaction. What trades did actually happen. So the trade snapshot is like a recipe. It provides the real transactions that happen at a specific price and time. So we're going to be fetching data for SPY. So the trades, right? This is what you're going to be using for back testing, right? So great for back testing because we're getting what actually did trade, not just the quotes, what people wanted to trade at, but we're getting what actually did trade. And also using the open, high, low, close is what we're going to be using for back testing as well, because I want to get the day summary, right? Or that candle summary. What did it open at? What did it close at? What was the high? What was the low, right? And now we're fetching data for SPY, the S&P 500. And this is going to be the 19th of December, 2025. Here's a sample of the records, the first 5. There was one trade. Somebody bought a SPY contract 661. So they're betting that the price goes to 661 call. So they're bullish on the market. They bought it for $2,100. That's crazy. They're super out of the money. One contract, conditions 18. What do conditions mean? I want to figure out what conditions mean because that's the first time I'm seeing that. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Again, we just go back to the endpoint. You see where it says, let me just blow this up a little bit. Condition is an integer, a trade condition. Trade condition, regular, format, sequence, out of sequence, average price, NASDAQ, open, report, late. Okay. So these are all the conditions. All right. We're here for trade 3. All right. Beautiful. Let's go back to here. So here's the first 5 trades. Beautiful. Trade analysis combined. Okay, 342. Average price was between $1 and $5,000. That's crazy. Average price is 6,100. That's crazy. 230 puts, 215, 230 calls, 215 puts. The last trade was 865. 571 contracts at 1 penny. Somebody's super bearish on the market. It was like, you know what? It's only a penny. Only $1. Let me just go ahead and shoot that shot. Contracts with the last trade size greater than or equal to 14. Okay. 50, 14. Beautiful. Here it is. People are super bullish, bearish, bullish, and a lot more bullish than bearish, huh? A lot more bears than bulls. Single contract deep dive. Multiple symbols. I love it. So we're getting a lot from this endpoint. Beautiful. All right, we're done with that one. Now let's go ahead and go to quotes. So quotes retrieve real-time last NBBO quote for the option contract. You might need to change the default expiration date to different dates if it is past the current date. This endpoint returns no data if the market was closed for the day. Theta Data resets the snapshot cache at midnight every night. So let's go ahead and copy it. And then we're going to paste. All right, here is the next endpoint. All right, we have a few more to go through. Beautiful. Now, this is the fun part because open interest is coming up. Hold on, let me stick to quotes because I may have a question there. All right, now it's going to create the script. Waiting for the script to finish, fam. And once this is good, we'll be able to continue. And if y'all do have any questions while I'm working through this, you can let me know. Again, I wouldn't worry too much about this. We have more than enough headway, right, to be able to work through what we're doing here. So we're just waiting for the output, and as soon as we get that, we're gonna just finish on our work. All right, here we go. So let me go ahead and copy. And then now we can run it, Python. All right, beautiful. The national best bid and offer for each contract. NBBO is the best price available across all 16 option exchanges. The bid price is the highest price someone will pay you. You sell at bid, and the ask price is the lowest price you will accept. You buy at ask, how I remember it, right? What do you do before you go to somebody, right? Excuse me. In order to get into the market, what do you have to do? You have to ask to get into the market, right? In order to get out the market, what are you going to do? You're going to place a bid, right, in order to get out the market so somebody can buy it, right? So that's how I remember it. The spread is the difference between the bid and ask, the bid and the ask. This is the cost of trading immediately, and then the size is how many contracts at that price. So tight spreads are liquid, cheap to trade. Wide spreads are illiquid, expensive to trade. So fetching quote data for SPY, fetching NBBO, the national best bid option prices for SPY on the 19th. Here's what we retrieved. I'm telling you, everybody's a little bit bullish. I mean, bearish right now. That kind of match what the market has been doing these past couple of days. Here's NVIDIA. Here's QQQ, TLT. Beautiful. So this quote endpoint gives you the NBBO, the best bid and ask prices available across all option exchanges. Key insights. All right, liquidity. We already talked about that. Pro tip, use expirations to get all the contracts at once. So that's also called the wild card, right? Don't ask me why, but they call that the wild card. All right, so let's go to the next endpoint, and that's going to be open interest. This retrieves all the last open interest message for the option contract. Open interest is reported around 6:30 p.m. 6:30 EST every morning by OPRA and reflects the open interest at the previous trading day. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and copy that, just like what we've been doing. And then go back to Claude Code. Here is the next one. Proceed like we've been doing. All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and test the open. All right, now we're waiting for it to actually move forward. Whoa. All right, perfect. So it's actually going to create the symbol. And once we actually have it, we're going to be good. Again, this is probably going to take us another 20-30 minutes or so to actually finish up and go through all these endpoints. I'm being very, very meticulous as far as everything, just to make sure we all understand to create the right. So this is taking a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I think that's a good thing, right? I'm going through all of the endpoints, and we're going to see what we get, how it works, and how we can use it for the strategies that we come up with, right? So again, this is where I get the data from for Theta Data for option strategies, and this is where I get my data for back testing for our Algo bots when they run live. They also use Alpaca. I do have a video on being able to go through and set up Alpaca. So if you want to review that, that's also in the channel. I'll drop it in the description as well and in the chat. But nonetheless, this is something that I like, right? Because we're going through all the data and we understanding what are we getting. All right, so let me go to copy. Beautiful, clear, Python. All right, open interest. So open interest or OI. So whenever you hear OI, this is open interest. This is the total number of outstanding option contracts. So the key difference from volume is how many contracts that traded today. It resets daily. The open interest or how many contracts exist. This accumulates and decreases over time. High open interest or high OI, many participants is super liquid. OI or open interest at a specific strike can be support or resistance. Remember we talked about support or resistance, right? Support is when the asset is touching and making lower lows. Resistance is when the asset is crashing through and making higher highs. Max Pain theory uses open interest to predict the price magnets. That's interesting. Max Pain theory. Maybe I'll use that again. I don't know. Let's see. So fetching open interest for SPY, S&P 500, top 500 companies within the New York Stock Exchange. So there's a lot of people betting that SPY is going to go to 626. That is super bearish. SPY is at 680 right now. That's crazy. There's 5,900 people. People that are betting that SPY 285. They must have bought this before. 481. And then puts 370. Super bearish. Super bullish. Super, I don't know what that is. SPY's at 685. You're super out of the money, bro. Open interest, call, there's 1 million open right now. Puts, there's 3 million. That makes sense. Put call ratio, number of contracts. The highest open interest contract is a put at 505, 216 contracts. So the top 5 open interests, we're seeing more puts than calls right now because the market is extremely what? Bearish. We're thinking that the market is going to go down just based off what we've been seeing off trading activity. And here's the open interest by the strike. And then the max pain calculation, assuming price, don't assume, just get the SPY price of, that's not. Max pain strike is 665. The distance is $60, 9.28%. So total max pain is 2,989,000. That's 2,989,415,000. Open interest distribution by moneyness. In the money, a little bit closer to the price. Out of the money, a little bit further away from the price. So strike contract deep dive. Oh, I really do love this, bro. Look how comprehensive of the data we're getting. All right, bet. Now let's go to our next endpoint, which is implied volatility. Implied volatility returns the implied volatility calculated by the national best bid mid ax price of the options respectively. The underlying price represents whatever they could have said that better. Whatever the last underlying price was at the underlying timestamp field. You can read more about the calculating Greeks here. All right, beautiful. So I'm going to do is just copy you whatever the underlying. I mean, I get it, but you could have done that better, bro. All right, here is the next one. All right, we are making great time. We're making great time, fam. Oh, my fault. You can't see. Here you go. There we go. Now it's creating this script so we can actually run it. Here we go. Script should be done in a bit here. And if y'all do have any questions while I'm working through this, again, let me know. If I don't see it initially, I will circle back to it. Our aim is to be able to, again, to grow this community. You know, been doing this for about 6 weeks now. So I'm still super new with this streaming thing, right? So there's a few things that I may make mistakes about. I may not pronounce something correctly, right? But the aim is for us to be able to grow, for us to be able to get great products, right? And what I mean by products is code. And for us to be able just to understand what's going on here, right? So with this particular series, again, I'm taking my time being able to go through each endpoint. Could I have skipped around? Yes. And I'm going to do that for history. So just keep that in mind. At time, I think there's yeah, we could just do all that. But for history, because we have implied volatility we're doing right now. Then we're going to go to Greeks, first order, second order, third order. I'm pretty sure second order is where I stop. Yeah. First orders I get, second and third order. I'm not paying 160. Because again, you don't need that. I can show you how to get the third order and the second order. All right, we finished here. Let's go to you, and then let's go run our script. Implied volatility. All right, while I'm running my script, what I'm going to do so we can be a little bit more diligent about this, right? I'm just going to copy Greeks because we know that's next. And I'm going to have Claude Code work on that while I'm reviewing the script. All right, here's Greeks. Go back to our coding session. Oh, don't spaz. Okay, here is the next one. Now I know that we need to hit enter real quick. Not spelunking. Isn't that diving in a cave? This endpoint. No, it doesn't. Oh. Wait. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Implied volatility. Oh, Greeks. Okay, first order Greeks is what I meant to do. First order Greeks, fam. Let me do first order Greeks. All Greeks. Remember, that's 160. Who's paying 160? We're going to use first order. So I need to do first order Greeks. All right, we meant this one. Now proceed. All right, this one. Beautiful. Hold on. My fault. I just gonna go grab IV. While we're working IV, it's creating the script. Beautiful. Oh, I already had it there. I kind of outsmart myself sometimes. So implied volatility. What is implied volatility? Equals the market expectations for the future price movement. Usually that is within the next 30 days. So IV is contract specific. IV is annualized. So a 30% IV expects a 30% move, usually within the next year. Higher IV is more expensive contracts. IV tends to mean revert. High IV fails, low IV rises. That's a strategy, but you got to buy into it. You got to buy super expensive contracts, betting that it's going to drop, or buy. Okay, but nonetheless, let's keep going. IV increases before uncertainty, earnings, and event, and IV decreases after the event, resulting in the IV crush. So converting to daily expected moves, daily moves equals stock price times IV times the standard Standard deviation? Or square root? Standard deviation. Hold on. What is the symbol for standard deviation? That is standard deviation, fam. My fault. Of 1 over 252. Example is the stock price is 100, IV is 32, and then 202 daily is the expected move. So fetching IV for SPY. So the record implied volatility is 33 at 10. So that's kind of mid. Bid and ask prices, the underlying value, IV error. Oh, it just finished. Beautiful. Record 2. IV's low. Here's a high IV. IV error. What's this IV error? Okay, IV analysis, contracts, mid. Okay, puts have higher IV because what? We're in a bearish market right now. At the money IV, at the money, expected moves 1 day, dollar move percentage. Here's the expected range using 40 IV, IV skew, put skew. Oh, yep, it is definitely bearish. Why are we getting NA? So I need to figure that part out. Okay. Now this is what's up. We're getting super dope data. Now I'm going to do Greeks. Beautiful. We're going to... Oh, my fault. You can't even see what I'm doing. Now we're going to do Greeks. But before we do Greeks, let me go ahead and come back here. We just finished up first order, right? Second order, no. Third order, no. I can show you how to get the all Greeks and the second and third order. So don't worry, we're going to go through that. Now we just finished up snapshot. Now we're going to go to history, right? So we're going to go through this. And then after snapshot, we have at time. So next one is going to be snapshot. Let's get end of day. And then, oh, we're going to come back to Claude Code. All right, here is the next one. Now I know we need to hit enter, so let me just wait so I can hit enter before we move on. So we can actually test the C-curl. All right, bet it worked. Now let's run our Greeks. All right, beautiful. Greeks measure the option price sensitivity on various factors. Delta is how much the option moves per $1 stock movement. So delta for calls are normally positive or 0 between +1, and for puts are between 0 and -1. Also approximate the probability of the option expiring in the money. So delta tells you two things. It tells you how much the option price is going to move for every $1 movement, and also tells us the POP, or the probability of profit. Theta is how much value we lost per day, or it's also called time decay. Always negative for long options, accelerates as the option expiration approaches. Vega is how much the option moves for 1% IV changes, right? So higher for longer dated options, and this is critical for earning event plays. I don't do that here, again, because you get with IV crush. So even if you bet right, you still lose money, which is crazy. So that's why I don't do earning plays here. Rho is how much the price moves for every 1% change. This is the smallest Greeks for short-term options. So I really don't care about Rho as much, but it's nice to know what it does. There's a lot more options. There's lambda, there's gamma, but let's keep going. Epsilon is the dividend sensitivity, and then lambda is leverage. So we're fetching the Greeks for SPY. So this is the Greeks that we're getting for SPY. Here's delta for put. You know, where puts are negative, and we're losing about $68 a day. Here's vega, here's rho and lambda and IV. Here's SPY 285. That makes sense why we're getting nothing from it, because that is super out of the money. SPY right now, so we can have context, right? Let's go look at SPY's price right now. SPY, and this is trading view. And I'm looking at the 1 minute chart for SPY. So what this means is that each one of these candles represents 1 minute of data, right? SPY right now is at 679.73. So with somebody trying to buy SPY at 685, bruh, super out of the money. So that's why we're not seeing any Greeks populate here. Same thing for 370, super out of the money. That's why we're not seeing any Greeks. 717 put, right? A little bit more close out of the money, right? Because SPY's right now is 680. And here's the delta for it. It's 200. And here's the Greek analysis. Delta averages, theta averages, vega averages, high delta contracts. That makes sense. Calls. And the highest theta contracts with these puts losing. That's crazy. High vega contracts for volatility plays. And that's interesting. I never use vega that much, but I guess I'm going to use it for another one of our strats to create. So that's why I love being able to go through this, because you can think of different strategies as you're going through this data. Portfolio examples for Greeks by strikes. Remember, this is delta. $50. That makes sense why that's not there. Okay, and then deep dive. All right, bet. So we just finished up our open, high, low, close. Okay, you finished it. Now let me go grab the next endpoint, which is going to be history, open, high, low, close. So what I'm going to do is just grab all of it. Copy. Then go back to Claude Code. Go ahead and paste it here. Here is the next one. Let me go ahead and copy this. Paste it. Come here. All right, back we can clear. Now we can hit Python. And I know we need to hit enter. Look at that, right on cue. Then are you ready to go create? All right, bet. Now it's creating the file. Now let's go run our get option history in a day. All right, so end of day data for daily summaries for each option contract. This is the open, high, low, close volume. So whenever you see OHLC, OHLC means open, high, low, close prices. The volume, the total contracts traded. Count, the number of individual trades. And the quote is the final bid ask at the reported time, which is 5:15 Eastern Standard Time. So key timestamps. EOD is used for backtesting, research, historic analysis. It's much smaller and faster than the intraday tick data. I hardly use this. I'm going to rather, if I am backtesting, let's just go ahead and get all the data, then I'll filter it out accordingly. So fetching the EOD, here's a sample of the record. Here's where it opened, and this is for 626 put, right? For 12/19. That expires this, what is it, Friday? So here's where it opened at $9. The high was, that's crazy. High was $30, and then the low was $9, and it closed at 15. So even if you bought it for $9, right, it went to 15, you still made money, right? The fact that if you didn't close at 30, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Volume was 440 and 17 trades. The quote was $10 to $11, and then this one was created. And then here, when was the last trade? Record 2 was a call. This was a put. Here's a call. And again, you're seeing none out the board because the current price of SPY is 680. So I don't know why somebody will buy 285. That expires on Friday. Kind of weird. Puts. All right, beautiful. EOD analysis, total contracts, total volume, total trades, average volume per contract, contracts with zero volume, and then close price range. Okay. Top 5 volume leaders. I'm seeing more. Okay. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. So 5 and 5. So it's 50%. 50 calls, 50 puts. Top 5 gainers. Yes, it's been a very bearish day today. Top 5 losers. Right? Anybody who bet puts. Anybody who bet calls, you better know what you've done today, December 15th. Quotes analysis. When did the last trade fail relative to the bid ask? Fall. All right, beautiful. All right, so now let's go back and let's get our next one, which is going to be trades. I bet. So I want to copy it. Going back here. Bet. Now we're going to paste. Here is the next one. All right. Beautiful. Run that. I know I'm going to come back and hit enter, but give me a second. Python. Did we hit it right on time? Nope. Almost razzmatazing. That is funny. Bet you got what you need. Now go create my script. Let's run that. This is for the year or the day. I'm sorry. This is for the day. I haven't done the year yet. This is for the day. So what I'm pulling all the data, this is for the day. So I am going to be pulling yearly data and show y'all how I do that. But this is just currently for the day. Welcome back. Nice to see you again, Javon. Intraday candle tick data. Intraday candlestick bar data. Understanding intraday open, high, low, close. Open, high, low, close aggregates trades into time intervals. The open, the high, the low, the close, the volume, and then it gives you VWAP. That's crazy. I didn't know it gave you VWAP. Well, that's interesting. The first time I'm seeing an indicator and an endpoint, right? So that's interesting. So this is the available integers. So tick, that means real time when it's happening. I have 10 seconds, 100 milliseconds, 500 milliseconds, sub-seconds, and then we have 1 second to 30 seconds, sub-second data, and then we have minute data from 1 minute to 30 minute. I stick to 1 minute. I don't go to 5 minute. I don't go to 50. I really don't go past 30. But sometimes it's 1 minute or 5 minute. I am going to be creating a strategy using multi-time frames, right? Using 1 and 5 minute, but I kind of don't go past 5 minutes. Right, time stamp is the bar opening time. Trades from the timestamps to the timestamp plus interval. So here's an example of us retrieving 5 minute data for open, high, low, close, for SPY contract for 600. Strike call. Here's the sample, the total bars, total active bars with trades 19. Empty bars is 60. That's crazy. And this is for 600 that expired last Friday. And this is a call, right? Makes sense. Yes, Friday was a bearish day. 5 top active trades. We opened at 888.60. The high 888.60. Oh, it didn't close. Okay, you didn't move nowhere. The VWAP. That's interesting that it gives you the VWAP, bro. Like, I didn't know that. And the fact that I know that now is going to be very, very interesting. Okay, day statistics. Total volume. Top 5 high bars. Again, that VWAP is going to come through clutch, excuse me. Resampling 5 bar to 15, factor of 3, original, okay. And here it is. Different intervals. So the less time, right? The more time, the less bar, the less time, the more bars, right? 1 minute is going to have, really, 1 second is going to have the most. Then every time you go up, the less you have. 1 hour is going to have the less, right? Or the least. All right, bet. It just finished that. Now let's go back. And then now we're going to grab we just finished trades. We're going to go to quotes. And grab our quotes. Copy. And we're going to paste. And now we're going to run. Copy. Let's do the next endpoint. All right. Clear. Python. Run. Get trades. All right. Trades. And then beautiful. Right on time. All right. Perfect. Now it's going to do that. Now let's go over trades. This is the trades endpoint for Theta Data. Oh, my fault. I didn't switch back over. I'm sorry. All right, so this is the trades endpoint for Theta Data. This is the tick by tick trade data. Tick by tick equals every second that the trade occurred. So each trade record includes the timestamp, the price, the size, the exchange, the condition, the trade type. Was it regular? Was it a spread? Was it a sweep, etc.? And the sequence, the exchange ordering number. So use cases are for market microstructure analysis, custom aggregation, execution, quality analysis, and pattern detection. Warning, tick data is much larger than open, high, low, close data because this is every second that a trade happened, right? So fetching trades for SPY 600. It really loves SPY 600. Here's the trade data, 100 contracts, condition. Here's the opening price. Same thing. Same thing we're seeing there. Here's the trade analysis. Okay. Here's the large block, the top 5 largest trades, and trade condition distribution. This is interesting. All right, trade, and we get it by time too. This is really cool that we can see the trade time and the sell amount, and again VWAP calculation, which I didn't know was provided, but the fact that this is provided is super clutch. All right, perfect. You should have finished. Yes, you did. I love it when you. All right, let's get the next one. We're kind of zooming through this one now. This is going to be trade quotes. All right, here's trade quotes. Let's do the next one. All right, I'm going to copy you, then paste, and then come here, hit clear, Python. All right, now we can stay there. Look at that. I love it when it works out. All right, beautiful. Now it's creating the script. Now let's go back to our get option history quotes. So the quote data is the bid and ask. Remember, the bid is what you pay to get out of the contract. The ask is what you pay to get into the contract. The spread is the difference between the ask and the bid. This is the cost of immediacy. So you feed each piece of documentation. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not back to the here. Yes. So what I'm doing when I'm going through any new API doc, right, is, again, this is where we started for Theta Data, is I'm going to go through each and every single endpoint so I can understand how it works, what it provides, and how I can use it for an algo, for back testing, for our live bots, right? So I go through it very meticulously, right? So I'm clicking on REST API, and then we went through not stocks, we're doing options. I went through all of the list. I'm finishing up. We went through all the snapshot, and right now we're finishing up the history endpoints. So we go through all of the endpoints, feed it to Claude Code. Claude Code creates a script that we can run, just like we're running here, so I can understand what the data provides from that particular endpoint, right? And this is even before we even get to a strategy. So I've done this before, but I wanted to go through it again because I've been getting a lot of requests as far as where do I get my data from. So I get it from Theta Data. And the reason I love Theta Data is because, number one, they're comprehensive. Number two, they're extremely affordable, right? You can get tick by tick data if that's what you really want. But again, you don't need it, but that's what you really want. You can get it, and it's really affordable. And other places for tick by tick data, you're probably starting at 150. For Theta Data, it's a fraction of that, right? Oh, just to let you know, I am not sponsored by Theta Data. I wish I was, but I'm not sponsored by Theta Data. This is just game recognizing game and being able to share how I create my back test, where I get my data from, right? Does that make sense? So let's go back here. History. Wait, not stocks. Shit. My fault. Option, histories. We just finished, what was it, quotes or trades? We just finished trade quotes. Now we're at open interest. All right, bet. So I'm going to copy. Let's go back to Claude Code. Let's go ahead and paste it. And this is the next one that I have to run. So I'm going to keep that in mind, but I still have to go over. Here is the next one. I feel like I'm like one behind. So I still have to go over this one real quick. So let's go over it. So what do I say? Okay, the bid is what you pay to get out of the position. The ask is what you pay to get into the position. The spread is the cost of immediacy, right? The cost of being able to get into the position. The intervals are just going to be the different periods or the minutes that you want, or the, yeah, I'm going to say periods, and periods is just the time that you want for that particular asset. Tick by tick is every second that the trade quote closes, right? And again, this is huge data. Unless you're market making or doing something that is very specific, then you can get this. But again, I wouldn't recommend it because you can use the 1 minute and it still gives you a lot more data. But tick by tick is here. 1 minute, this is where I live. Less frequent is going to be the 5 and 15 minute. The quote data is larger than the trade data because the quotes change consistently even without trades occurring. Now we're fetching the 5-minute quote data. 79 quote data was fetched. Here's the top 5. This makes sense why we're seeing no bid and ask spread, because it's 600 for last Friday when I think SPY was at like 682. So this makes sense here. Or we have a format error. Ooh, we have an error we need to fix. Okay. So here's how we use it. All right, bet. So now let's run the next one. So this is our trade history. Oh, this is the same one. Oh, no. This is different. So this is trade quote. So with our trade quote pairs each trade with the quote active at the time. So the trade data is the price, size, and timestamp, and the quote. Oh, this is dope. So we get the trade, what actually filled, and then the quotes, what people are wanting to get in at the same time with this particular endpoint. So we can maybe use this instead of being able to like have a quote and trades one. All right, so this lets you analyze where did the trade actually occur in the spread. Was it at bid, seller aggressive? Was it at ask, buyer aggressive? Seller aggressive, is it a bearish move, right? Buyer aggressive, is it a bullish move? Was it inside the spread, price movement? Exclusive equal true, parameter default ensures that all quotes are strictly before the trade timestamp for accuracy. And here we're fetching it to be able to see an example. And here's how it looks. This is quite comprehensive, if I may say so myself. We're getting the spread that's automatically calculated. We're getting the trade. We're getting the quote. Trade quote analysis, at bid, at ask, between, unknown. Buying and selling pressure. So we can even calculate the buying and selling pressure based off of the volume from the trades, right? So we have a lot more selling pressure or a lot more bearish activity that's going on within call. And that makes sense. Execution quality for the first 5 trades, in between. So people are getting at the mid price. They're not paying the bid. They're not paying the ask. They're paying in between. So these are a lot of limit orders that we're seeing. And that's really great for us. That's all we use is limit orders. I mean, there's market orders, but not that much. On trades inside the spread. Okay. Trade analysis. All right. So we're getting a lot of comprehensive data for that particular endpoint. So let's go ahead and get the next one, which is end of day Greeks. All right. So here's the next one. Then coding session. Make sure. Yep. Damn, you are still waiting for me, kid? I thought you did it. My shit. I thought I did it. My fault. So we have 2 more to do. First order Greeks. And then we're going to be doing implied volatility. And then we have so we have 4 more endpoints to finish up, which I thought was already being done. But you know what I want to do? Let's go ahead and speed this up a bit. Let me go to net because it's like 2 hours long video. My fault. I did not expect this to be for 2 hours. We're going to copy. I'm just going to bring in Cursor's AI because this is super simple. Copy. We're going to go to here. All right. 4.5. Review logs on how we're doing it. Then let's proceed to create this endpoint after you've ran the C curls. All right, beautiful. Open interest. Here's the next one. Oh, damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. What is it? Get history, open interest. All right, bet. So we have 2 working at the same damn time, which I can appreciate it. I gotta spell Python right. So here's the open interest. Here's the data that we're getting from this, why this is important. Open interest is reported at 6:30 p.m. each day. It represents the open interest at the end of the previous trading day. And here's how we track it. And I'm just going to be going through this a bit more quickly because, again, pushing 2 hours. So I want to finish this a little bit quicker because I wanted to create a strategy with y'all. But I think I want to create the strategy in the next video and just keep this focused on the endpoint discovery. So we're getting a lot of comprehensive data from the open interest, so I can appreciate that. So what I've done is I've also brought in Cursor's AI in order to create the endpoints or create the files for us. So let's go ahead and grab our last one from the history section, and that's going to be implied volatility. Let's go ahead and grab that. And then we're going to come here. Are you still coding? You're still coding. Keep. What is this? Get history. Okay. And then copy. Boom. Here is the next one. All right, bet. And then let's just go ahead and run this one. Oh, this script demonstrates ways to fetch and analyze the first order Greeks from Theta Data. Make sure Theta Data is running on the local host. Press enter to start examples. Before I do that, I'm going to copy you. And then we're going to come back here. We just finished up our history. Now we're at time. We're going to get trade. All right, here is, let's go back to Cloud Code. Here is the next one. Beautiful. Now let's go ahead and press enter. Oh, before we press enter, remember I need to press enter here. Perfect. Now you got it. Now let me know you're writing the code. Beautiful. All right, perfect. Example 1, fields. I'm fetching the 5-minute greets for SPY. I kind of like this one a little bit better, a little bit more interactive. Okay, so we're seeing the data that we're getting here. Now press enter for the next example. Yeah, a lot more interactive. So maybe you're going to create this last one for me. Copy. Delta tracking throughout the day. Remember, delta is the probability of profit or how much the option contract is going to change when the underlying stock price moves. Yeah, I like this one. This is a lot more interactive. And then theta decay analysis, vega exposure. Higher vega, equals more sensitivity to volatility changes. At the money options typically have the highest vega. And at the money are option contracts that are a lot more closer to the current price of the asset. Beautiful. The complete Greek snapshot. And you notice what's not here? Gamma. Gamma is something that you really have to pay for. But again, I can show y'all how to get it. And then custom rate. All right, beautiful. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our last endpoint. I'm kind of excited that we did this. Went through all of these. Quotes. All right, hold on. All right, we're working on the next one. All right, beautiful. Let me copy you. And then history IV. See, I like this one a lot better. This script demonstrates the various ways to fetch and analyze the implied volatility data from Theta Data. IV is arguably the most important metric. Greeks, one of the most important metrics in option trading. Let's make sure it's connected. Oh, we have an error. We got to go fix that. Okay. Here's IV tracking throughout the day. So as you can see, IV changes. It exploded, went down, exploded, went down. And then bid and ask spread for volatility. The IV skew. I want to start using that a lot more. Now that I know it's available. IV quality check. All right, beautiful. So you're Gucci Dim. Now let's go get our last one. I have one more being created, but this is the last one for Claude Code. So it just goes through all of them. So at a time queries the last price at or before the specific moment. Query, what was the last trade at 10:30 a.m.? Response, the most recent trade that occurred at that time. Benefits, consistent point in time snapshots. Compare multiple contracts at the same times. Realistic backtesting, what would you have seen? Track the intraday price movements. Okay. Multiple fetching, comparing across dates. I really do like this one. Understanding the time lag. The time lag tells you how long before you queried the last time the trade occurred. Small lag, medium lag. If the lag is large, the current price may not reflect the true market value. The average lag for the day is 828 seconds. So that's crazy. Well, all right, now here's the last one. All right, here we go. This is the option history Greeks. This is the first order. I feel like stretch this one out. This is the last one. Here's the basic. I love it. Here's the delta tracking throughout the day. Theta decay tracking. Vega exposure. Complete Greek snapshot. Okay, beautiful. Listen, fam. We did it. We've gone through all of the API endpoints for Theta Data. This was a bit exhilarating, right? We're able to finish it and being able to understand all the endpoints that we're going to be using for Theta Data. Now, we are stretching about 2 hours here, so I'm going to stop, and then we're going to pick it back up a little bit later with regards to our next Algo build. Now, it is your boy Creative. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you haven't already, go ahead and put a comment of let me know what you think, anything we can do to be able to improve this, because what we're doing, again, is to be able to create videos where we can not only just learn, but being able to grow our